ladies and gentlemen. Not exactly how we wanted to start the season with the 18T. Gosh, won't that just break your heart? Turn one of the heat race down at the Thunderbolt, tearing up some of our equipment that everything was, obviously pretty fresh to start the season. In today's show, I kind of want to show you what the rebuilding process looks like. And this video is really all about my team. Props to them and Carly doing so much work on our program. You guys have seen, how hard Carly works and her grind in the sport and how much she's learned at such a young age and what she's capable of. That part is really unreal. And as you guys saw, I was traveling across the country because I had a pre-planned trip to Millbridge for the big kart race out that way. So we tear up the 18T. Obviously, it has to get fixed before our next weekend of racing in Oregon. And that's where Carly came into play, getting the job done. Also help from our tire specialist, Taen. He jumped in, hands-on, just wherever we needed. Of course, if I could, I would do all of Tulare different. I would have, not put myself in that position to cause that turn one wreck with the grease and, how everything happened. So I'm not here to make excuses about it. Like I said, I would do it differently. The last thing I want to do is wear out my stuff or wear out someone else's, especially in a heat race. But it does happen, and you just, all you can do is live and learn. And another thing was yes, obviously frustrating to do it first night out with our car. Not a lot of time on the equipment. But I will say this, in dirt racing, I don't care if it's your first or last race of the season. Whenever you crash, it never feels good. It never feels good. Like I said, I wish you guys could have seen what my heart looked like as I was flipping through the air. And I just, most disappointed you'll ever be in your entire life, and thinking, what did I just do? And again, it just happens when you're racing hard, and that's unfortunately a part of our sport and what you sign up for. So again, today I want to show you guys a little bit of the rebuilding process. Of course, that car, it took a significant amount of damage. I mean, here's the poor wing panel. And this was the good panel. This thing, it's pretty beat up. Gosh, here's our graveyard of wings. Here's the left side panel. I mean, not even really much of a souvenir. And there's the center. So yeah, it did not survive well. Now the one good thing is usually if the wing absorbs a lot of the crash, then that could potentially save other areas of the race car. So in this crash, top wing, front axle, some of the components on the front end were still good, so we'll just swap that onto a new axle. Of course, radius rods. Radius rods are one of the first things that usually breaks in a crash like that. But pretty much everything motor plate on back, rear end, torque tube, drive line, everything in the seat, cockpit, I mean, from what we saw was all still good. Now it did get the frame, so the frame would need a new front clip as it just it broke on the left side right behind the shock tower. In reality, I was talking with Drew and their team at Tarleton Motorsports, if this was a big race, it was Trophy Cup or something, we were in a spot for points and wanted to keep running, we could have made something happen to run Tulare. Of course, with our situation, we weren't going to do that first night out, just a local show. No matter what, unfortunate, but at least it kind of got some of the more simple parts, up in the front area of the race car and on back, everything was still pretty good. No matter what, still a lot of work though to rebuild and get ready for our next races.
Hey there, it's Carly. I just wanted to come on and walk you guys through the process of what's going on right now. First off, we knew the frame was kinked pretty bad, so that's a pretty easy fix, and that's basically just tearing the car down to bare frame and getting everything organized and figuring out what else is damaged, if the engine got hurt or if the rear axle got damaged. So I got the front end out, and I just, like I said, I wanted to get everything kind of cleaned up and figure out what was broke. For the most part, the whole front end was damaged. The front axle snapped. All our radius rods in the front snapped. We just put a spare front axle in just to load it. And then right here, I'm getting the engine out so I can run valves and back it down since the fuel was left on. So I got that out of the car, and then I went ahead, and that took a second because the drive line actually shoved into the U-joint. It didn't damage any of it. I think it was just kind of how the car landed. it just shoved it all together, so it was a little stuck. So I got the engine out, and then I went ahead and I moved towards the rear of the car, but like our bird cages and our rear arms, brake rotors, calipers, that was all straight for the most part. So now I'm working on getting the fuel tank. Since it just kind of happened, we had roughly, I think, probably 14 gallons of fuel in it. So I grabbed 2 buckets and I drained that, and while I was draining that, I was kind of working on a couple other little things, watching that drain. Then I was getting Nerf bars off, and then I started to work on the cockpit area, trying to get the steering gearbox out. Now I'm just kind of washing it. I wanted to get it all cleaned up before we sent it back to get fixed.
So here's a look at my bare frame. You can definitely tell with the naked eye the damage on the left front. Now, I'm not sure exactly how they would fix this, if they just need to cut one bar out or they need to just chop the whole thing off and put a new front clip on it. But regardless, it needs to be fixed, and you can see the obvious damage from where my car took its hit.
Now's the rebuild process. I had to get some tabs welded on this frame, so this is the following day now. Just kind of working front to the back of the car. The front end was pretty simple. I just kind of threw that front end back in it that we loaded the car with, and then hooked up all the radius rods. I got everything set on the car where it needed to be. Started working on the cockpit a little bit. I got the seat in. The seat was a little bit tough to mount. It's a little bit of a narrow seat than the previous seat we had in. So trying to get that to all line up. The rear end went in pretty easy, as well as the drive shaft. None of that was bent, so that all checked out good. There's me trying to put that clip on again. I got that torque tube getting bolted on now. And now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm hooking up the bird cages and rear arms, so that way I can go ahead and square this rear axle. Just putting a little anti-seize on there just so those bearings can slide on a little bit easier. Now we're getting the engine put back in. Taen was there, so I had him kind of help me out. Trying to get an engine in by yourself is a little difficult, but we got this one in, slid in pretty easy. And I went ahead, and once I got this in, I ran the valves, checked out all the fueling system, our butterflies, all that. Everything checked out pretty good from the wreck, that's great. You never want to damage an engine in a wreck. It can be very expensive. But we got that, so now I'm just kind of finishing up some last little touches. I put the brake system in, hooked all that up, make sure the brakes worked well. Got the fuel system in and was kind of just making sure that all lined up in this car.
So that was a quick look into our process of getting the 18T back to 100%. Trust me, when you've been around in this sport long enough, you definitely learn how to pull a tear off and move on to the next, and that's important for everyone involved with the race team. Me as a driver, Carly, our crew, family. Like, if you're gonna be in this sport, man, you gotta be tough, and you just gotta be willing to move on to the next race. And remember, sometimes it's not about getting knocked down, but how you get back up. And so that's exactly what we're gonna do. We have a nice stretch of races close to home coming up next, and we will be bringing you guys along with us for the journey. Deuces.